Welcome everyone, big show, RDM. We got a lot to talk about. Mostly let's talk about this 4-stroke GX50 engine. We're including it as the V-twin. These would represent the cylinder banks. The 2-speed transmission, but we're gonna primarily talk about everything. So we're gonna go through all those engines. We also have, where is it? There we go. A variant that's a 2-stroke with an AIM-6 crankshaft. I'd modify it and just cut one end off, and I would have the ignition and the primary drive all on the same side of the crank. That would offset the cylinder. We're going to talk about that. This is a single speed, the cheaper option. Single speed, single cylinder, 2-stroke and 4-stroke. And then we're going to have a V-twin 4-stroke, 2-speed, and then a 2-stroke, single cylinder, 2-speed. It's 5 different engines. Is it? Yeah, it is 5. A 4-stroke and a 2-stroke, single speed. A 4-stroke and a 2-stroke, single cylinder, single speed. And then a V-twin. 5 engines. So we're going to talk about that. We'll also talk about, crankshafts. So the material should have came in today, should have came in yesterday even. But it's definitely like they set their own deadline of tomorrow. There were a bunch of other pieces in there. Very exciting. With the crankshaft material, I ordered the material to make the engine cases for the single cylinder, single speed, 2-stroke and 4-stroke engines. So we'll talk about that too. We gotta talk about crankshafts. And then the final thing we gotta talk about is a bunch of parts on the RDM website. They went on pre-sale because they ran out of stock. So we're gonna restock them, but during that process, all of them are set at springtime, late springtime delivery. They're gonna be on pre-sale, so you can get a discount. And then the final thing is, these we redesigned and we're now on to Generation 2. There, I refreshed it and it changed. So now we have in stock, these are the 2 original options, Gen 1, and then there's Gen 2 with pre-sale. So that's $20. I lowered the price because we now have Gen 2. I just want to get rid of the Gen 1s. So they're cheap. These are also cheap, the Gen 2s, but these will go up once they are in stock. So you want to jump on these. And it says in the description, but basically we are going to add another thrust bearing made out of the same material we make our bushings out of. And we're going to put it in there as a plain bearing in addition to the ball bearings. And that should increase their capacity, increase their life, all good things. Costs more to make them, but I want the best. So these were not the most reliable. You had to be careful how you know about overloading it. I personally had good luck with it, but it was time for an improvement. So yeah, I guess that's the first thing we're talking about is this here. That's the final thing on the list. So yeah, that's live on the website. And let's go to the catalog and see what else is on pre-sale. These here, I sold out of the last one yesterday. So yeah, there you go. Lowered the price. None of them are in stock. They are on pre-sale. And same thing. Spring 2024 delivery. Let's see what else. The drive sprockets. So the 9 and 10 tooth They sold out. They're on pre-sale. I had to see, so okay, so these are the ones in stock. Let me see this other listing down here. That's for offset. Okay, here's the pre-sale. So that's for the 9-tooth and the 10-tooth. Much lower price, so yeah, jump on those. We just sold out of those two. I got to talk to one customer. He actually just ordered 2 9-tooth. Sorry about that. I'm gonna try to do much better with keeping the inventory up to date. Crankshafts. I ordered more than double the material I thought I was, so we have a good amount, actually about 30 or so that are unspoken for. I'm sure when I talk to some of the builders that might jump down to just a handful real quick, but as of right now, these are available. And they're being made, I mean, the material should have been here. So yeah, that's it with the pre-sales that are back up. Oh yeah, final pre-sale. This cover. Back in pre-sale, there's literally one in stock of the standard one. And there's the extended fit one where this surface on both sides is just a 1/4 inch taller. So yeah, get these, you see, that's the in-stock price. And it goes down, so you get quite a discount. Same thing, won't be long for these to be in stock. So yeah, it's quite a few things. That's it for the pre-sales. These chain tensioners, they're in stock. Get the True and Stand. They're still on sale. I have the price really low, but I like people getting access to those for a good price. Very happy with that product. And the hubs are still cheap, just because people, I want to get more out of them there. People don't really know what they are still. They're pretty simple. So far, good reviews. But I'm most excited, I think, about the crankshaft and where's that engine at? I don't know what to name this engine, but it is completely in-house design. So that's a good transition into this engine. So this model, I'm gonna actually discard this entire model here for the most part. This is more like, I don't know how to describe it, but like an idea board kind of thing. I'll just pull some dimensions off of this when I make the final case and all the other part drawings, and this is a very rough draft, but you'll get the idea. There's the motor mounts. That's what the 4-stroke would look like. And it would be very standard, you know, to have a pretty much the same old clutch on the inside, but it would have slightly less. It's going to be probably about 3-to-1 reduction, maybe a little more, like 3.2 reduction, somewhere to there, which will mean that the clutch actually has a little more grabbing power for the same amount of horsepower. And that'll be especially important for the 2-stroke. So let's transition into talking about that, the 2-stroke. So what I want to do is have this main bearing sealed off, so we don't need a seal on this side of the crankshaft. That'll help improve reliability. We will have a bearing, a seal, a primary drive sprocket, and then here, bolted to a flange, the ignition mount. So I want to have the ignition be another circle stacked right above the clutch. And this is intentional. I want to have a lot loaded onto this side of the engine. That way we can push the cylinder offset to the side lay the cylinder parallel to the tube. Normally that would be a problem because the tube would be exactly lined up with the center of the exhaust. And that's a big boy exhaust. There's nowhere to, you can't just steer it out of the way last second. Instead, we want to have the cylinder purposely offset to the side, no ignition hanging off the side of the cylinder, and let the exhaust flow right past that tube. Another big benefit of that is it'll allow us to put a nice case reed right here, a short intake, and have a big boy carb right there. That's the main benefit of this, being that's partially why it exists. We'll also have a chain drive and an oil bath instead of the gear set for the primary drive. Bunch of good things. You make the engine run in the right direction. And we're going to reuse as many familiar parts as possible to keep the prices low. For the most part, this is an original clutch. But instead of, must have a few things missing. Okay, there we go. Let me isolate that. Instead of having the drive gear, we have this guy. Here fits a bearing, here fits the seal. And then on here, slips an outer shell that drives the clutch pads. And then it would have a snap ring clip that holds it all together. These would just be pins that would be press fit in. Let me unisolate that. You can see that blue thing. That's the shell that would drive the clutch plates. And then we would get a laser cut disc that would have the clutch plate pads holes cut out. And that's what would hold the clutch pads and engage with this. We would not run a central bearing here. There's no need to. This is a better view. You can see the seal, the bearings, and then there's inner bearings there, and an inner seal for the inner clutch shaft. This is the 2-speed model, so instead of having these two secondary drive sprockets, we would actually have the spring mechanism, and on this 2-speed mechanism, we would put the spring external, just make it a little bit taller. And we can afford that on the 2-speed because the output sprocket would actually not be on this shaft. It would be on the secondary jack shaft. And then this in here would actually move the shift mechanism, the engagement dog, back and forth. So that's the 2-speed. We talked about that. Go watch my previous videos. I think it's also time in this video too where I explain, okay, what are we doing here? So I have a history of designing and making motorized bicycle engines. In the past, we've relied heavily on, I don't know if I have one laying around, these existing 2-stroke engines. I do some, they're all over the place. Motorized bicycle engines, but this time we're gonna go pretty original and design almost the whole engine from scratch. Now there's some unique parts, like the one I showed you already. I'll go back to isolating this one. So this part here, if I make this fit 5 different engines, then I can make, hypothetically, around 5 times as many and still sell them in the same period of time. And by doing so, that can dramatically drive down the cost per unit. You can see a couple videos back, I explained the reasoning for that. But basically a part like this might take 15 hours of setting up the machines and another 4 or 5 hours minimum of writing programs. Now, the more parts you distribute that workload onto, the less that becomes a problem. If you're gonna just make 3-4 parts, and that makes the parts unaffordable. I've drawn many revisions of these engines, and everything's dynamic. You know, I kind of let you guys in the comment section guide me, but here we're finally narrowing it down. I think I'm most excited about this engine in the short term. The GX50 this little 4-stroke guy. I think this is going to be a fun little workhorse engine. Forced air cooled, a manual clutch, simple, affordable. And my plan is to make one as quiet as I can. I'm going to really go out of my way to make a quiet exhaust, maybe multiple stages of muffler, a multi-stage intake with filters, and basically a muffler for the intake as well, and see if I can make it so people can't even tell if it's motorized. You know, I can go cruising down the road, and for all people know it, I'm an electric. So we're going to play around with that. I'm really excited about this. This is going to be the first engine to be delivered. Let me go to this guy here again. I need to clean up this shop big time. I have a lot of work to do. Yeah, okay, that'll be the final thing I'll talk about after this. But anyways, if you're interested in this engine or one of these 5 engines, you know, you click on the options, you can see the prices change. This is the cheapest. Then a 4-stroke 2-speed, 4-stroke 2-speed V-twin, and a 2-stroke 2-speed. Notice those prices might seem a little low. You have to send me stuff. For the 4-stroke, you have to send me the complete GX50 engines. I prefer the Lewski ones. For the 2-strokes, you have to send me your choice of AIM-6 crankshaft, any stroke, and your choice of cylinder, AIM-6 or Piaggio, but you can talk me into something else. I will, for the 2-stroke, you're gonna get a engine case custom matched to the parts you're sending me. And spend as much or as little as you want on the AIM-6 part, the 2-stroke parts. So that's that. 2 to 6 month pre-sale. And yeah, enjoy, guys. I guess the final little part of my update is just well, I don't need to get too into it, but we're a little bit busy around the shop. I need to clean up. We have a bunch of little jobs coming in. The crankshafts, that's a big one. So I'm going to, you know, I have the store updated, some things on pre-sale, but basically I have to run the machines. Let me know if you guys want to actually see videos of the machines running. Otherwise, the videos might start coming slower unless I post videos of me actually just running the machines, doing the core thing that we do here, which is we make parts. But basically, all 3 of these machines here are booked up, including the saw. And I need to clean up. So let me get to it. I also been shipping a ton. Thanks a lot, guys. You've been keeping me busy. And I think that covers everything. So yeah, this is all live. We're doing it. 5 different options. See which one suits you. Also, let me know about names. I mean, I kind of like the name like Heritage Motor or like Legacy, because my idea is that the way I'm building it and how heavy duty everything's going to be, how accessible all the parts will be, the idea is that you would pass this engine on from generation to generation. And, you know, I think maybe the name should reflect that. It doesn't need to sound super performance-y, because this one, I want this to be like the Honda Civic or the Ford F-150 of motorized bicycle engines, when the two-strokes are like your supercars. And then as far as the two-stroke version of this, I guess that's the all-American design and built engine. Yeah, also some of my more commodity pieces I'm strongly considering, just the way the economy is looking, and I want to help out people where I can. I'm thinking of making a lot of the parts that I've been making, just simple stuff, overseas in China and Mexico, wherever, and I'd be very upfront about it. But yeah, I have nothing against that. Even though I am proud that we're making the stuff in America, I definitely do appreciate the Chinese vendors. I keep in good relations with them, and you know, I appreciate everybody in this hobby that helps keep it going and make it what it is. Also, thanks for everybody in the group. A lot of support in the group in general, and just quite pleased of how it's becoming a bit of a community. We're at about 43,000 members. Let me bring that up. 42.4, that's the name of the group. And yeah, I try to keep the videos posted there. There's a lot of posts all day, every day. Oh, spam, that's unusual. But yeah, enjoy. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like the videos on YouTube. Comment. Let me know what you think of the latest developments here. Actually, we're not done yet. Let's do a little bit more show and tell. Oh well. Anyways, this just to show you a sprocket and that pulley will fit all there. It's all gonna work. But yeah, that's basically where it would sit. And we go with a one size smaller chain, and that's a 35, which is 0.375 center to center. We're gonna go with 219, which is 0.306. Oh, throat's a little dry. And with this, we're gonna keep the original bottom case of these engines because it is matched. In a case that they actually have the bearing board slightly offset, I don't want to find out the hard way. It would make sense that there's going to be imperfections. So I don't want to replicate this piece and make it perfect and then it actually not work out because theirs is imperfect and I should have matched their imperfection. Also, it'll save money by not having to put in this little reed block housing with that port. So the plan is to actually mill about 1 millimeter off of these bosses here on both sides and avoid everything else. Just do a little spot on top of each one of these. Cut these arms off, trim these arms off, so this thing just falls off this ring. And then we're going to also mill almost all this away. We're going to mill this off too, and make it so that the case actually bolts to these cleaned up faces here, and then these because those cleaned up faces are machined at the same time as this is machined off, it'll all match up, and basically there'll be a second gasket. This will be about 1 inch tall. So the point is we're gonna retain this whole bottom piece, we're gonna retain this gasket surface and all this, and have our billet case bolt to the bottom. And because there's gonna be none of this left, the chain will be able to feed through to go to its primary drive. So that's just a little bit of the nuts and bolts of how this is going to work. I should have zoomed out, so that was hard to do with that zoom like that. But yeah, imagine this cut off and this shroud cut off to make the motor much cleaner. And you know, cut these arms off on this to get the shroud off. This shroud off on this guy too, that doesn't need to be there. The flywheel will still be there, but you don't need the shroud. As far as the cover for this, you could use the original red Honda one, but I'm going to be interested in trying to get some 3D printed air shrouds. Maybe more minimal. They don't need to be as large. We are going to be moving after all, but I would like to retain some sort of air shroud. Original ignition. These are going to be fun engines. All right, I think I covered everything. Yeah, I gotta run the machines big time, so I have to switch gears, switch modes. And did I talk about the crankshafts enough? Not really. So I do have to run. I guess I could bring them up here. I do have to run these, so I have to run these hubs. They're pretty annoying. A lot of internal features. So I have to make these hubs on this machine, and then immediately after that, we're running the crankshafts. I do have to switch the work holding out of there. And the Haas too, the Haas and that machine over there. So the crankshafts takes up 3 machines. It also takes up my press and the straightener over here. And yeah, we gotta load up this nice high precision German chuck. And we're on our way. We're gonna make some really nice crankshafts. This is the crankshaft fixture for the mill. There's little air ports there. There's such a tight fit here on these crank journals. It has to be pushed in and it actually bounces from the thing. So these are relief holes so it doesn't just bounce out of the fixture. And then to get them out, I actually put the air wand up to this and it pops them out using air pressure. I might have shown that in the video, but yeah, I'm excited to run these crankshafts again, big time. Especially now that I have my own truing stands. It was actually nicer than what I used to use, these ones I made. So you guys are all spoiled with these. They work quite well. In stock too, many of them. So that's that really. The website. That's the website. And yeah, I pretty much have it all straightened out. Not abandoned in 2 strokes, in case you guys got worried. Even though obviously, I mean, these things are everywhere. I'm going a little bit deep with these 4 strokes. But enjoy everyone, and don't forget to let me know if you want to see machining videos. Also, I think riding videos are going to come back. The weather's getting warm, and I took this engine out and sold it, and it came back. Nobody ever opened it. Anyways, what's up, dog? Time for me to go grab dinner. Messy shop too. Ready, dog? All right, later, guys. Thanks a lot.